thank you for life itself that you have blessed us with. Father, we pray that you would remember each and every one of our tribal members. You know each one by name and you know their needs. And so, Father, we pray that you would remember each one and meet them accordingly. Father, we pray that you would remember our tribal council who is in session today and the decisions that they have to make for the future of our tribe. We pray that you would give them each wisdom and guidance. And Father, we pray that you would remember each and every one of our tribal employees and the jobs that they do. Help them, Father, encourage them, and give them wisdom and guidance to carry out their duties. For this we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, we have a few that called in. We have Micah. She called in. She's gonna have medical today. Martha's medical. Dwight is on travel today. And I think Wayne's gonna be late. He's on his way. And Donna's online. So, Bill. Okay, 1 o'clock. Anybody else? Now we need a motion for excuses.
Chairman,
Donna, go ahead.
I would like to be excused when another council rep comes in.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. There's a motion by Ray for excuses, second by Jordan, question by Vanessa. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Online, Eileen,
Yes.
Tennille,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes, I need to take off around 12:30 or 1. My daughter has an appointment around 1.
okay. Donna,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
opposed, not voting.
Sure.
Motion carried. Okay, we left off on our agenda. We left off on the broadband presentation, and we have a few things for land and natural. We have to look at the budget for the upcoming visit of Secretary Holland. And I got a Dear Tribal Leaders letter for you guys to read to see what's going on with that. But go ahead, Eric.
I forgot about this, last time the council met, but we need to authorize, just a motion to authorize an extension of the sales tax agreement. It expires tomorrow, and we're looking at a 6-month extension. We're still looking at adding information to include our outlying communities as part of the areas that are exempted from, or that are included as part of the tribe's percentage. Because some of the state doesn't have that complete information we're trying to get. That, and we're trying to increase the percentage of the cut too.
Okay. All right, well, we'll put that down. I thought maybe after we finished our agenda, we'd get back on the regular agenda, but it sounds like there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be gone, so we'll just finish the agenda and then we'll move on. Go ahead, Russell.
Instead of repeating it again later on, I'll make that motion, whatever it says.
Okay.
Second.
You wanna restate the motion so we
The
can,
motion to approve a 6 months extension of the sales tax agreement, beginning on October 1st.
Okay.
2022.
okay. Got a motion by Russell, second by Pam. Need a question? Jordan? All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Online, Eileen?
Yes.
Tennille?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes. 11.
Opposed?
Zero.
Not voting?
Zero.
Motion carried.
Sure.
It's the necktie.
Thanks. Okay, we'll get started with the broadband presentation. We have SRD and IT that's going to do that today. I think Santi was going to walk you through the timeline from the inception of the application to the proposal that was submitted for the monies, the grant monies. Are you ready, Santi?
I think we're waiting on Wayne. Well,
Wayne Boyd, he's here. He's here, he just needs to. Okay.
good morning, council. Can everybody hear me? I'm not sure if you guys got the handout. I did two, there was two timelines that I created just to provide an overview of how we got to this point as far as the broadband is concerned. I'm gonna go over this kind of real quick. I'm gonna take all your time for this presentation. From June 2020 to August 2020, COVID, as we all know, COVID was here. Stay-at-home order was in place. But the council requested IT find a solution to provide internet to the students and family that are out there. So that was like kind of a big undertaking, because we went out doing our surveys, talking to different companies, different contractors about how to go about doing this. At the time, the CARES Act was in effect as well. At the same time, FCC came out with this 2.5 spectrum for the tribes to use. So, my department and TUC began working on that, and we did get a license and did get approved for that. We came in front of the council a couple of times with presentations regarding a wireless plan for the outlying communities. And one of the major concerns was Grass Mountain and Spring Creek areas, due to the fact that they barely had cell signal to begin with, much less broadband down there from Golden West. We did pursue a couple items, a couple plans, but they weren't feasible. Like I said, we were out there with Verizon for about a week there. We had another North Island Research came in and they proposed a plan. But at the time, because of the deadline for CARES Act, December 31st, 2020, it wasn't feasible for us to utilize that. So everything kind of went to the back burner. We started, as far as the IT side, myself and another former employee went to Rapid City to initially do training for tower climbing. Since, we were looking at towers and wireless projects, so we figured, it'd be better to have staff here on the reservation that knew how to do that kind of work instead of outsourcing it to begin with. During that time, that's when I came in contact with A Better Wireless, Mitch Cope. He was invited down here by my predecessor, and we began working on an initial plan prior to the NTIA grant, looking at what it was in the feasibility, but what is going to cost, how we would do it. And, we ran into a few barriers, to put it lightly, when it came to providing broadband here on the reservation. As you all know, we have one provider, telco provider, Golden West, providing internet. So to provide when I say backhaul of internet, it's almost like a fuel truck. Instead of having a small truck with gas, we have a huge truck with gas to carry it around. As we went over this, it provided a contacts, where he worked at prior, and one of them was Laura Brule. I made contact with Laura Brule, and they were pretty happy with his work, and, they had finished their wireless project there on the reservation. Granted, it was much smaller land base, but they utilized fixed wireless to provide for their members out there. We once again, we came in front of this council and put a proposal, a proof of concept proposal for here in Rosebud, utilizing the tower that's here right above the hill up here. The council approved that. We moved ahead and we were able to outfit that tower and provide a testing platform. What we got out of that proof of concept here in Rosebud, a few tribal members had the modems in their homes. We also put it into a couple of tribal programs, one being the Rose Department over here. And they were getting speeds wirelessly of 106 down and 21 up. That was well wireless. Right now, if you go to local telco and you get internet, they're going to give you 25 by 3. That's a fix, and that's on copper. So we were 3 times as high as that. During that time, after that, the NTIA grant portion came up. That was in May of 2021. Once we found out about that, I began asking, okay, how do we go after this grant? The SRD director kind of steered it towards this way. We picked it up. We did a resolution to go after the grant. Got approved in June of 2021. That's when I began working with Brian Dillon at SRD at the time, due to the fact that he worked with grants. I did IT, and I thought collectively we could come together and we could facilitate this grant. Granted, it was, looking at it was a daunting task, and the time frame that we had to do it, but we got to submit it. And I would like to thank, for the record, all the people that were involved in this process to get this application in, from our department, staff there, from the ones that put all the information, the technical information in there, SRD, LEAP providing information for this grant. Like I said, this is like the first grant I've done, and it was, and I think a lot of it, people thought it was a pipe dream. We're going after millions of dollars for this. One of the biggest obstacles that the funding agency came to was when the grant initially first got submitted, they had 302 applications across the US for this pot of money. And it came up to, I think, $5.8 billion. So there was a very competitive process to get this grant. We were going against everybody else in the US, all the tribes. And if you look through in the one that's labeled RST TB CP NTIA grant application timeline, these timelines are in here, all the dates that we had to provide a cure, update the grant for the budgets, for everything else. The tech-wise, initially it started out around, I believe 51 million, but due to some of the budgeting in it that could not be facilitated in a grant. One was we put into the grant 10 years of support for this project after it's done. That wasn't allowable. We could do up to a year. And as far as the fiber as well. But this whole project included fixed wireless, which is towers. We had a fiber backhaul, the backbone coming from the casino all the way here to Rosebud, which would facilitate that backhaul. Everything that's in this grant, the tribe is going to own: the fiber, the towers, the equipment. The part about this I like, and I guess I need to talk about it, in hindsight, I should have talked about it more, was the opportunities for employment for our tribal members and the chance to find a different career in technology. We were down in Phoenix last week for the National Tribal Telecommunications Association Summit, and it was all about broadband. And part of this project was we were taking tribal members and incorporating them into this project along with the contractors. So as things were going along, those tribal members became a part of this process. When the project was said and done, the project manager, all the employees that are with it, as far as TechRo was concerned, those employees would just kind of fold into the company that would be managing this after it's said and done. We provided, I would think, very good salaries for that to happen. But like I said, it was a long process, a very competitive process. We would spend nights, weekends up trying to make the deadlines. A lot of these deadlines for these cures for this grant, they were given 5 days. Some of them were given extensions due to the amount of information that was needed. But in the end, everything worked out, and we were awarded this grant. And I'll kind of summarize that. But it's time. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Santi as far as his timeline, as far as from when we started to getting the grant? We did attend that summit, that broadband summit down in Phoenix last week, and it was very informational. One of the guys said that down there I was presenting said that we have a new Cadillac with nobody to drive it yet. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to proceed from now. Yeah. But that's kind of what they said down there. So we learned a lot down there. We made a lot of contacts, FCC. We had a lot of, we met the lady that's running Cheyenne River's telecommunications and internet services down there. They have their own internet. They're their own internet service providers down there. We made a contact with her. She's going to help us with some type of consultant work as far as getting ours going. But otherwise, it was a pretty good conference. We just need to move forward with this in a good way, and we try to implement it the best we can. I think it's time for SRD to tell their part of the grant process as far as their monitoring and doing the reports as far as we're setting it up. Go ahead, Jordan.
Thank you. Good morning, Santi. I just had a question of, do you kind of have a long-term goal of like who's going to oversee this when it's complete? Or do we have an idea of that yet?
The long-term goal is whoever was hired as advertised for these positions, whoever was managing the project would then fold into the company that would be managing it, and we're talking with Redco as them managing it after the infrastructure is built. So whoever was leading the project would be
In contact with them?
yes.
Okay. And then I know yesterday we kind of discussed things on the side, but as soon as we can, maybe SRD can kind of put out a timeline with you of like the processes, the stages of like how long these things are going to take to get to completion. So let's say we start at the village, how long it's going to take for that stage to complete, and then so on and so forth till it gets complete. If we could kind of get that out to the public, that'd be great as well.
Yeah, that's a good question, because initially when we first started this project, a lot of what we were hearing was outlying areas that didn't have even cell phone service. And so we put an emphasis on Spring Creek and Grass Mountain areas. And me and a few other staff and a couple other contractors walked those hills trying to figure out the best places for towers, and to map it out. As you know, if you drive through Grass Mountain, it's pretty long, and it's the service down there. But we figured it out. So we highlighted that area as the priority to start with. And as coming out from the south, Sichongu Village was also on a priority, just for the fact that at the time we didn't know whether or not Lumen or CenturyLink was going to provide internet down there. I know that the topic came up as far as Golden West going down that far. But that is I guess, a CenturyLink Lumen exchange area. That's where they provide services. I know there's a plan and process for them as well. So that was, but as far as timelines coming out, as soon as we get everything approved on this side, because, you know, we can start sitting down and say, okay, this is where we're gonna start at. This is how it should take. Because of the time constraints on this grant, we have 2 years to complete this. And you know, we may be able to finish a portion of it due to the fact that one, cost of equipment is going up, went up by 20%. Cost of fiber, everything is going up. So when we initially got the budget for this project, that was for prices at that time, almost a year ago. And so everything has changed since then, but there's another round of funding coming up to potentially offset the, you know, make up for that and be able to complete that project everywhere, so.
We have, Wayne Fredericks and Wayne, Boyd.
I just want to say thank you for everybody that's worked on this project. How many towers, I missed it, are included in this project to light us up?
We're looking at about, there's different size towers, let's put it that way. I think we're looking at, I believe 14, the bigger towers, 190-foot towers, and we call them microsites. They're smaller. We were trying to use those utility poles. There's 85-foot transmission poles for smaller areas. Say like down in Grass Mountain, if we can take a bigger tower on top, push the signal down there, and just daisy chain it down. So our footprint, as far as the bigger ones, it isn't very much. It's just the smaller ones. So that helps out as far as the environmental concerns are. We're not taking a big chunk of land and using it for a site. Most of the sites will be relatively small to begin with.
Okay. And then we got 2 years to build it up.
2 years, and it started August 1 this year.
And this Cope gentleman from Better Wireless, they're the ones that built Lower Burles project. Are they operational?
Yes. A Better Wireless, Mitch Cope was a contractor that Lower Burles used to set up their wireless system, and it's still going as far as I know today.
Okay, cool.
Wayne Boyd.
Good morning, Council. Glad to be here. Glad to trying to get this thing off and going. Couple things. First, with the grant process, Unti played it very, very competitive. A lot of the stuff here is really technical, and we still have to ask for. So we didn't have that expertise ourselves, but that's where these people that are in this grant, I people that are down out. They do a lot of work with different reservation. When we did their meeting, they were a very valuable part of it. They were very legit. We should give it a special consideration. That's my grant. This is a year grant. To hire an individual on the grant, staff, because the first thing we have to do is get all of these sites you're talking about. Yeah, each field and all of the environments graduated. That stuff should be done this fall, while we're trying to acquire a contract. Hire a contract, and that stuff done. So we have some difficulty in acquiring all of the stuff we need, technical stuff. But instead, you're going to our doctor and we can get in line for that material and get there as soon as possible. About a year and a half out. And as Santi said, the process changes every month. Prices change every month. It's $48. Today's probably more like 60, 65 now. So the government realizes that. So in March, they're gonna offer a new round of funding. But by March, we have to know how much more money we're gonna need. So it's really important that we get started right now and get all that stuff done. What else am I forgetting here? Oh, there's so much stuff going on out there with this, that we've been neglecting that needs to happen. Like with the FCC. The FCC gets reports from all these co-ops that provide the services. Like every 6 months, they submit reports. And that's what they use to determine how much money to allocate. And that's what they use to determine how much money we're eligible here in Rosebud. Well, the people that submit that report for our area, we go to West. And Golden West has been telling FCC that don't worry about Rosebud. We're providing them 25 by 25 servers for the whole reservation. The whole reservation is lit up. So when they tell FCC that, then that reduces the amount of money that they think we're eligible for. But FCC then has now made it possible where we can dispute. The process where we can dispute this report. We have to do that now so that we can get enough money in March. And there's all kinds of stuff that's come out of that we've been neglecting that we need to get on.
There's council, there's all kinds of players that involve in this. And there's, first of all, we have to have a construction person that comes and actually lays the line and does the conduit and sets up the towers. Then there's the person that comes in and does the integration part of it where they actually hook it up. And then we have the person that supplies the equipment. So there's a lot of players that come together as far as working with the construction person that we decide to use. So, and I think SRD is going to talk a little bit about how we're going to send off a RFQ for a request for qualifications for a construction outfit to come in and do that for us. So, go ahead. Good.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Council. Good morning, Administration. I guess, I don't know if there was any discussion yesterday when you guys did have quorum regarding this whole thing, or if it was done without no kind of quorum. I know there was questions that were floating around regarding this broadband, but my questions that I have, one, Mr. Boyd had made a comment that I-9 should be really considered in following this. Two, the other thing I have a concern with was why were specific names written into this grant. Three, the detail of this talks about SRD being involved, and when there was questions raised to the SRD department, they had no knowledge. They had to go through the reading of the grant to see what was written inside of there and what was given. Another thing that Mr. Boyd had brought up was that we are far behind, and I believe that we are far behind in a lot of things right now. We have been talking about marijuana for I don't know how long, but that's taking forever to get started up, and everybody else is already going at it. We knew that some of this was coming into play. There should have been some kind of, there should have been somebody that's specifically on this, if that's how concerned we are with this broadband. Now, IT department has fallen. It's lacking a lot for our programs. There's people that are talking about that their systems aren't working. Things per resolution, they have to use IT to purchase things. They're not receiving their goods, I guess. There's a lot of things going on, so I think we do need to have serious discussion on this and not pinpoint this specifically on staying in that broadband, because whoever's going to head up this broadband they need to be the ones that are going to give us a direction on this 2-year timeframe. Thank you.
Council, the plan is to get it all done and turn it over to Redco for the management of it. So that's the plan. We got to get there, and we got to get all these players together to help us get there. I-9 was a big part in planning this grant. They're also the integration part of all this. It's separate from the construction person that's going to come in and lay the line down. They have another one out there that's called ISP suppliers. They're the main suppliers of a lot of the broadband and the equipment that need to be put up. And SRD was never left out as far as the monitoring of this grant. And as far as the names that were put in there, as far as written into the grant, that was part of the discussion that we had down in Phoenix. One of them clarified that for us. They said that they had to be identified because of the cost of things that go up so fast that we should have somebody in place or have somebody in mind as far as the grant. Because as soon as the grant's awarded, we should be able to start the project. And so that was the very reason, that was the justification of as far as putting the people in the name. But those also can be changed. It wasn't our intentions to use those people according to the rules that were provided by procurement and stuff like that. We also gave the directive that we advertise these positions and that we send an RFQ for the construction person. So that was taken care of quite a few weeks ago, but it became an issue with some of the council people that were concerned about that. So that's how we took care of it. So that answers your question. Jordan, Ray?
Thank you. So I guess I just wanted to state as a council, we just wanted to follow the procurement policy that was already set in place.
Yeah.
So with those people already being wrote in, I guess I got some clarification yesterday, but like you just said, if that was your justification, those people should have came to this body for approval to be written in that grant prior to that.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel as a legislator. It should have been a collective decision from this body to recommend them. And I guess I have another questions of when will the RFQs be done and be advertised so we can start that process as well? Do you have a timeline?
I'm working on
Okay,
That'll be in SRD's presentation.
okay.
Ray, go ahead.
Might have just got my answer, but thank you, Santi, for your timeline and providing all of this. And I know you mentioned there's additional jobs for tribal members within this grant, and I know Mr. Boyd mentioned that as well. So do you know specifically how much jobs will be with this grant?
Well, what I'm looking at right now is currently there's 3 jobs that are part of the actual management of the grant: project director, grant clerk, administrative assistant, and 18. I'm not sure if they identified them or not, but a pool of 18 employees from TechRo to work alongside those contractors in every aspect of it. You know, the towers, the groundwork, the actual installation of devices on homes. It was our hope that the management side of it and those employees all, just kind of roll into the management company, which Redco will be undertaking.
Okay. And then, so I sit on personnel committee and I haven't seen any job descriptions come through yet. So I don't know if that's kind of.
As far as job descriptions for.
You advertise those positions that you just.
Yeah, they were just created this past week.
Oh, okay.
So,
they're in the process.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, did you have your hand up? No? Oh, Pam, go ahead.
So who and when was it decided that Redco was going to take this over?
That was just part of that's what they do. So I guess we just assumed that they were going to be a part of this process, and we can't do it as a IT department. So that was the most logical person that would take and manage it for us. So,
All right, let's go back to Redco then. I'm gonna jump off of this IT. Has Redco board required the Redco director to come back to the tribe? Live here on the Rosebud Reservation?
Yeah,
Why not?
when we was hired, we asked about.
Well, so does the council have the authority to change that? Does the council have the authority to say that, we're directing the Redco board to have Mr. Cologne move back?
can make a recommendation to the board of directors for them to do that. If they act on it, that's on them, but, you do have a recommending authority to the board of directors for Redco.
Okay, so if we can't make him come back, or if he doesn't want to be here, I want to throw something out to the council reps that are here and for the ones that are online. It's, all these charters are getting out of hand. Council no longer has no kind of say or authority in what they do. And if they're going to take over on this, I want the council to consider looking at pulling them charters until they can get back in line with what exactly they're supposed to be doing. You know, it's really hard. Everybody talks about that Redco building. They talk about all the services that are inside of there. There's nobody watching over them. Fine example is that day that I questioned Mr. Cologne here on the council floor. He had no answers for me, and these are things that are going on around here. He has no idea of what's going on. So with that in mind, I hope and pray that we can come together and have our Redco director here sitting on Rosebud Reservation, helping us develop all of this. No longer of these Zooms. We need to stop these Zooms too. We need to meet here. That's what the people have for us. That's what our Constitution says. So we need to get on that, and we need to start, if we're going to open up and we're no longer going to be a part of the pandemic, we need to start addressing some of them issues too. But for me, I think if Redco is going to be a part of this, I really need Redco here. I need Clay to be sitting in one of these seats telling us what exactly he's planning to develop for us. How is he going to help SRD? How is he going to help Santee? Those are things that we need to hear.
Direct involvement has nothing to do with construction or the process we're going through right now. Redco's involvement would be what's called an ISP, and it's used provider. They would have an office that would do the billing, the collection of the money, and pick the system. And Redco has applied for a grant to help get set that office up. We'll be here on the grant sometime in December. We've also been contacting and working very close with Mona up at Cheyenne River. They've had their own telco for the last like 37 years. So that's their process, but that won't take place until everything is done.
Pam?
So I guess if we're going to have Redco be financial people, where is our financial report? Where is our audit at? Why are we so behind in our audit? The tribe is moving forward
It's a
into.
national-wide thing, Pam. Everybody's having problems with these auditors. Our auditing firm here is operating on half staff. You don't have enough auditors to keep up. Redco's auditors are different auditors that have the same problem. It's a national thing. I mean, it's not that everybody is not wanting to get their audits done. It's just that there's problems with people working right now. When people went on COVID, you started working on Zoom, they don't want to come back to work now. They want to continue to work on Zoom, and it's causing problems for the whole dang world.
Well, I don't know, I guess this thing with Redco has always been an issue. They've always been behind, even before the pandemic. You know that as the treasurer of the tribe one time. You knew that they've always been behind. You can't use this pandemic as an excuse. But Redco needs to start coming forward, needs to start being with the tribe if they're gonna provide all of this for us.
Ask these people sitting on the board how I can push it. It's been an issue of mine for years, I'm trying to get it done. All I'm trying to tell you is it's unfair of you to put all this on right now. You're telling us that we're not addressing these issues. We are addressing these issues. Everything you're talking about, we talk about in our meetings almost monthly, almost weekly, every meeting we have.
So it sounds like nobody's listening to you guys either.
Go ahead, Stephen.
I do want to just advocate a little bit for Mr. Colomb. A lot of these issues that are being brought to light are true issues, but he inherited these as the new executive director of Redco, and we are trying. I'm on calls weekly with the auditors, and we anticipate that the audit will be wrapped up shortly. It is causing havoc, but Redco's not the only charter that is behind on audits. And we've recently became part of NFOA. I paid the member tribe application fee, and that's going to open up some technical assistance for some CPAs that specialize in Indian country financials. And I think that that's really exciting, and there are good things that are coming from this, and I think that we need to focus on that. We can have a clear, concise, cooperative agreement with whoever's going to run this and identify who's going to do what. And I think the financial reporting is one of the most important things that we need to focus on to be compliant, but it is an issue for the tribe. And I have recommended before that there be a resolution that I have presented that has a defined process on suspending a charter status based on audits or lack of adherence to directives from this body. If that's something that committees would like to review, I can resurface it. And then as far as the Zoom goes, I think Council Rep Croigo requested in the beginning from his community that we do away with the Zoom meeting. So those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, let's share it, and then we'll go to SRD, and she'll talk about her role in all this. Okay, let's share it, and then Bill.
Thank you. Santi, have you had any meetings regarding the ISP with Redco and how that's going to be set up? And just please clarify for me. So it's going to start with you all, shovel ready, right? And laying the fiber, doing all of your easements, and then laying the fiber. And then after it's all set in the ground, then it transfers over to Redco for the business portion of it, correct?
Correct. We initiated these discussions with Redco. I knew that IT wasn't what our job was for the tribe, to manage an ISP. We don't have the staff or, the time to do that. And so Redco came about because, as we all know, they're economic development of the tribe. So it seemed only natural that they would be in that discussion. So we started those discussions with Clay and Michael Lapointe back in March. Initially, okay, this is what we're doing with this project. It needs the management side of it. And so they were asking about performas and, what it was going to cost to start up. And, we had those discussions all the way up till the grant was awarded. They had to create a business plan and do what they need to do on their side as far as a business to get it ready. So, but yeah, we have been in discussions for them. A big part of this whole project, and it's kind of our Achilles heel, is that fiber that is part of this grant. That is what it's going to take for everybody to get, internet, wireless internet. That has to happen first, and as I said before, we're going to go on to those outlying communities that have not the best service or service at all as far as cellular service even. So that was the plan. You know, we bring the fiber here. It's all tribally owned, you know, and I got to reiterate here, prior to this grant that we had went to different companies to acquire, we call it circuit, a broadband circuit, a 10 gig circuit. We went to, you know, the first choice around here, and they quoted us at like 17,800 a month for 10 gigs. With that, you know, we kind of, okay, that's not feasible. So we went to the next provider, which was Sdn Networks. They provide fiber across the state. We were in discussions with them for about a month, and then it just stopped. We didn't get no more calls, no more emails, nothing. We tried to reach out to them again. So we went to, you know, our border on the south there, because CenturyLink was there. CenturyLink is everywhere in the U.S. They're, you know, a tier 3 provider. And, you know, we started discussing that with them because they were trying to work on a project to bring fiber to the home down Sichunga Village in that area, going farther north. And so, you know, so we teamed up with them and said, you know, can you provide us with internet, a backhaul? And, you know, back and forth, they said, yeah, we can, you know, but we, as part of this grant, we put our own fiber, pay for our own fiber. It's tribally owned, but we pay them for the backhaul, the internet, you know, service, I guess, if you want to call it that. Which at the time when they quoted us, it was for the same 10 gig circuit that we got quoted from another telco, was around a little over 4,000.
Skip out what I got.
A month. So the difference, you know, it was a kind of a no-brainer. Okay, we're not, you know, but we did try and, you know, that was one of the questions that the funding source had asked is, have you guys partnered up with any local telcos? And, you know, we did address that. We did try to include the local telco here in getting service. Those talks, once again, failed. So we went on down the line pretty much.
So just a follow-up question. I know that at Economic Development Committee, a lot of our committee discussions don't really get brought here. Feels like there's never really time to go over a full report for our committees, but you did discuss the areas of focus that you had where you want to start and what areas and communities you want to focus on. Would you please let the rest of council know what those are?
Oh, in 2020, when everybody had COVID, everybody was at home. You know, the schools were bending over backwards. Everybody was bending over backwards trying to find internet for students. And they're giving out hotspots. You know, the local telco was, you know, providing free internet. When I say free internet, we went to the community centers where they said they had it at. It was a 1.5 meg wireless. It's almost like dial-up, worse than dial-up, really. So we went on the reservation. We were, you know, asking education, talking to the schools, talking to this body. And, you know, a lot of places on the western side of the reservation seem to lack the most as far as in the home internet, a modem, you know, broadband at the home, and wireless cellular. You know, Verizon, AT&T, we're not reaching those places. And so, you know, we spent a good 6 months out in the field trying to figure out the lay of the land. Okay, this is what it's going to take. You know, we even had the top engineer from Verizon out here walking in the hills with us outside Spring Creek. You know, and we thought about purchasing some of those, they call them cows, cell on wheels. It's a mobile cell site, pretty much. We put that above Spring Creek, and it worked up to maybe half a mile. It reached down, you know, into that where the school was at, but it didn't fully provide cell service, you know, at a longer range due to the terrain. So that was one of our biggest focus, was those areas, because, you know, and as far as a public safety issue as well, if you go down there, something should happen. You know, people don't have, the cell service doesn't work down there. Something came up. So we focus on those areas to begin with.
Bill?
Thank you. You said it was 14 towers? Roughly, it was 14 or 15?
Yes, I gotta look at the grant, the project again.
So like do you have like a kind of a not definite map of like, so once you get east where they would be at, or?
We have some proposed sites, and within those sites, the radius, we're looking at about 5 to 7 mile radius around those for coverage, I guess, if you can put it that way. So we do have proposed sites within the boundaries, and a couple off of the actual boundaries on tribal lands, like say in Bad Nation, up there by Norris. But yeah, everything is in that package.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jordan, go ahead.
I think where my colleague Pam was going was, I think that she feels that Redco should just already be involved. I understand that they're not a part of the construction, but just have somebody there so that way they're learning what's going to happen within this whenever it gets turned over, rather than just turning it over to them and then, only the people that worked on it know what they're doing. Like as a leader, they should know what's going on with that program. That's, I guess, like my feeling where she was going with that. And I was just wondering, when your timeline doesn't have Redco in there of when you're going to start talking to them. So do you know when you're going to start including them?
We've had discussions with Redco since March, and the topic that came up almost all the time was, how is Redco going to get that startup costs? And Wayne talked about it. They were applying for grants, but the plan was, as the project is going along, Redco is working on that business plan that they have to create. But it's working alongside this project as it's going along. So as the project finishes one area, tentatively, we could actually light up those homes, provide internet to those homes. So that at the same time as the project is moving forward, they're side by side and, managing those homes that are getting lit up, providing internet. Part of this project was, I call it turnkey because it included everything. The systems, the management, the customer billing, all that stuff was included in this. And so as all they would have to provide is the personnel to oversee, to manage it, and some buildings and everything else. But that was, ideally that would be the plan right there, is, those talks simultaneously as we're going along.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to SRD. SRD, you want to come up and present what you got today?
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
I think our involvement in this project is, from the beginning, was to provide a certain amount of the financial assistance on paying for some of the specialists that were involved in the project, in the writing of the proposal. There's a coordination of a lot of information that had to be gathered in order to address the notice of funding availability. And part of our activities in any type of project is we assist in taking the federal requirements and making those operational as much as possible. That includes personnel who will be doing the work, and some of the other, I guess, the management of reporting requirements. That's an important part of this project in keeping all of the information flowing. The funders want to have knowledge of what's going on, and there are certain required reports that need to be done. Our job is always to try to make sure that those reports are submitted in a timely manner and to get the information as much as possible. We do that with every grant that is awarded to the tribe, that we have some oversight in terms of the reporting and the financial requirements that are available in each of the funding. This award presents some difficulties in that it has a lot of the technical problems that need to be taken care of in order to make it operational. This is the first phase, which is basically the construction of all the equipment. There are a lot of
different aspects of that. I know it's been mentioned about the fiber. Fiber is the most essential part of this. This is the lifeline, the heart of what takes place, not only here, but any type of broadband activity. As was mentioned before, that there's been difficulties on interfacing with the current providers because we basically will be in competition with those. And the fact that we will own this system and operate this system is unique in certain aspects. You can take a look at what's taken place at Cheyenne River with the development of their operations. They initially started having their own telephone operations and now have expanded into the broadband area. We've had that discussion over the years. That was some of the discussion that we had in Redco at the formation time of a lot of the activities. So it's something that hasn't really been openly discussed, but it has been in consideration in the planning and those activities that take place. But operation of the system is something that's the latter part of what takes place. The most important part is taking a look at the construction, making sure that fiber is available and comes to the towers that are located as the main area to feed out. And then construction of the towers, making sure that all of those are in the proper locations. Because not once you bring the fiber in, you have the locations and the type of switches that are needed in order to provide the wireless communication to those areas. So you have a coordination of a good number of activities that take place in those. Those require special expertise. So that's some of the, I guess, the aspects of what's being advertised and what will be taking place. We have been involved in the development of the RFQ, request for qualifications, and also taking a look at the suppliers of various equipment and other items. Some of these will be advertised and some will have to be dealt with on a sole source basis. And that's where the approval of the council becomes an integral part of this operation. Once these towers are set up, then the system is in place. But as they begin to set up, some of these will be completed prior to other parts of it. So once they move into the second phase, that is the provision of services, that's where it's essential to begin to bill the customers for those amount of money, and also that's where the revenue for continued operations take place. We are aware that the funding that was initially provided, because of the time involved in the supply chain problems, that it is an inadequate amount of money. But we won't know that completely until we start to make this operational. And that's what's essential. Knowing that it is a 48-month project, that there is a lot of things that have to be done quickly. And some of those is, the advertising for these. Advertising for the personnel, advertising for the consultants, those need to be done quickly. And that's where, we need this body's approval in order to move those things along quickly. And it will become an area that, there will be some need to report constantly, because there will be approvals that are needed as it goes along. But it is a very unique project. It is something that will provide a lot of services and changes, because the whole revolution of the communications is involved in this, and we will have the ability of providing that services and making a lot of operations possible. But the staff will present the different aspects of what's needed to be approved and move that along. Sarah?
Morning, Council Administration. I guess I told Ken that I'd basically be here to answer any questions that you guys have of me. I understand there was a motion with my name in it the last council meeting, and I was just like, it should have just said SRD, because we're doing the work anyway. So that's just wanted to be available to answer any questions you had, and I also wanted to ask council to reconsider and amend the authorizing accepting resolution of this award. When you guys first approved it, it was very abbreviated, it was short, it didn't have the important information in it. So all the highlighted section of this resolution are the areas that we've added to, improved, or totally It's brand new to the reservation. So it answers a lot of your questions, I feel like, as far as how this project's going to be implemented. I just wanted to assure all of you that SRD's only role in this grant is to ensure that it's implemented in accordance with federal and tribal laws and regulations. And so that's all we're here to do, is we make sure we don't micromanage grants or anything. We let the directors oversee them. We just make sure all the reporting and everything's being done in accordance with federal law. And so that's all we've done in this process, is highlighted some of those areas that we felt needed a little attention, and we've tried to answer those questions the best we can through this resolution. So if there's any questions as far as that, I would just like to ask council if they could consider or reconsider an amendment.
We have somebody that can bring this on to reconsider and amend. Read it into the record. Wayne, motion to reconsider and amend. Need a second? Share. Go ahead, Wayne.
I'll move to bring that on to reconsider and amend.
Okay.
Is the one in yellow? Okay. And you just need that red and yellow? Right? Just the stuff in yellow?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is stuff in yellow.
All right, thank you.
You gotta read it into the record,
Yeah.
sorry. But,
Do you have a motion to approve it?
yeah, you made a motion, Share seconded already,
Okay.
so.
Oh, okay. I'll start at the fifth whereas. The Rosebud Sioux Tribe Informational Technology Program worked collaboratively with Sichunga Resource Development to address this need by contracting consultant Marie Compost Ltd. to assist in the development and submission of the application to the National Telecommunications Information Administration, U.S. Department of Commerce for broadband infrastructure deployment funding. Whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe has secured NTIA funding to deploy a broadband infrastructure project aimed at providing reliable broadband access across the reservation to the Rosebud Sioux Tribal programs, commercial and residential. And whereas on August 29th, 2022, the Rosebud Sioux Tribe received a notification of award to NTIA with the Tribal Broadband Connectivity Program, grant number NT22TBCO290067 in the amount of $48,352,973.57. So the 2-year project period, August 1 of 22 to July 31 of 2024, to complete Rosebud Broadband Phase 1 of the broadband infrastructure deployment on the Rosebud Sioux tribal lands. Whereas the SRD agrees to collaborate with the Information Technology Department and pay a contractor to develop the project application, with understanding that the SRD expenses would be reimbursed under the pre-award costs allowable activity. For this reason, SRD will be reimbursed the $9,976.48 in contractual expenses for Marie Compost Ltd. Co. plus 25% service fee, $2,494.12, totaling $12,470.60 to be paid out to the tribe's administration costs allocation under its award. Additionally, a budget line item was included in the application allocating $110,000 to cover the expenses for the grants management officer. Since SRD provides grants management services for every grant awarded in the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, the allocated funds will be used by SRD for grant management and oversight of this award. And whereas NTIA requested applicants identify contractors and other personnel who will be working on the project. The companies identified in the application were selected based on capabilities and competencies to perform the identified work. Additionally, selections were made based on availability to travel to the highly rural Rosebud Reservation over the 2-year project period. Due to the short project period, the RSTIT is requesting that the competitive bid process required to procure contracts with the Rosebud Sioux Tribe in accordance with the RST procurement policies and procedures manual be waived, and that a sole source procurement be allowed for the contractors specified below, allow the project to stay on schedule. And whereas the following identified contractor services and award amounts for whom a sole source authorization is requested as listed below, qualifications of each contractor are located in the attachments. Participants HEHE Enterprises. Address Albuquerque, New Mexico. Scope of work, electronic engineering and LIT circuit system installation and implementation. Funded amount, $4,055,798.28. Lumen, formerly CenturyLink Drive, CenturyLink Drive, Monroe, Louisiana, contracted to perform outside plant construction for fiber installation, including primary IP transit provider, $2,688,045.56. Riverside Technologies, North Sioux City, South Dakota, 24-hour help desk support training, $258,000. Whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe shall require all contractors to complete appropriate contractor self-certification regarding debarment, suspension, proposed debarment, and other responsibility matters in the document. The Rosebud Sioux Tribe shall adhere to its procurement policy and procedures process to secure the contracted positions below. Participants are prime contractor scope of work, project management, including the management and subcontractor and oversight of the building, fiber optic backbone, and the wireless canopy network construction. Funded $36,630,964.64. Advertisement method, request for RFQ. Project manager to work with the construction contractor and create a system of tracking of grant activities and provide tribal grant administration and the collaboration of data sets needed for submitting project narrative biannual reports, project narrative yearly reports, create and complete the final grant narrative and closeout report, inclusive of the evaluation outcomes to include the grant performance evaluation based on timelines, milestones, barriers, and final deployment markers. $160,000 at $80,000 a year. Projected proposal, RFP. Whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe shall maintain the right to terminate contracts without cause as long as there is no contractual agreement remains within the budgeted amount approved by the granting agency. And whereas all newly created positions shall be advertised and pursuant to the RST Personnel Policy and Procedures Manual. Whereas all vehicles, equipment, and other capitalized expenditures shall be subject to the RS procurement policies and procedures. And whereas all equipment and vehicles purchased with the Tribal Broadband Connectivity Program grant funds shall be the property of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe to the end of the 2-year project. And whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe Finance Office shall maintain fiduciary responsibility over this award and shall be responsible for the submission of all required financial reports. Be it resolved that the Rosebud Sioux Tribe hereby authorizes the acceptance of the NTIA award NT22TBCO290067 in the amount of $48,352,973.57 to complete the Rosebud Broadband Phase 1 of broadband infrastructure deployment on the Rosebud Sioux Tribal lands. And be it further resolved that the Rosebud Sioux Tribe hereby approves the line item budget totaling $48,352,973.57 and directs RST Finance to set up an account in accordance with the RST Finance policies and procedures.
Okay, any discussion? Ray?
Okay, I want to go back on the 11th whereas, and on the participant part of it, when it lists the project manager, is that these 3 positions right here? Yeah.
No. Those are the newly funded grant positions that will be we will advertise. The project manager was written into the construction part of the whole grant, and it wasn't they didn't have it under personnel. It was under a contract position. And so we're gonna go ahead and leave it that way, otherwise it's gonna mess up their direct costs, all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna leave it in the contract area and just RFP that out.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Russell?
Wavering, sovereign immunity.
No, there isn't any.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
For sole source.
it's just for this.
Yeah, thank, okay. They were gonna follow the.
differentiate that. On one level, you're saying you want a waiver, but
Then you're gonna listen to it. Then.
or I think we should, if we're gonna do this, we should have a dollar amount, a cap instead of total spending. And we do that with ARPA. And so you guys want to answer?
Yeah, I'll answer it. So the reason why it's written like that is because we're requesting sole source only for these identified contractors, only these ones. And the reason for that is because these ones are needed immediately to get the project going. We don't have time to go through the advertisement process with these specific contractors. These ones need to be hired right away. So that way we can get the fiber started, and all that kind of stuff. As far as the budget amount, these are what's budgeted and they can't be changed. The NTIA has approved the specific allocations to these contractors and everything. So when I do the RFQ, for the other ones that we are requesting to go ahead and bid out, those other two contractors, when I do the RFQ for this, to make it open and fair, we have to make this budget amount known. Okay, we have to share the design of the overall canopy that's going to be built here in order to make it fair and open competition. And so for that reason, we kept those numbers in there.
Yep.
You know, if you guys would prefer we remove them, we can do all that, as far as the dollar amounts, but I just wanted those in there for you guys to make an informed decision.
Okay, so when we're getting into the prime contractor, is that what you're gonna be advertising?
We're gonna advertise, I'm gonna do an RFQ, a request for qualifications, just for the prime contractor only. And the reason why we decided to do that is because this is a huge amount of money. It's $36 million. We better go through our procurement policy for this one. And I know NTIA has kind of said we can go ahead and do it and just start construction. But to protect ourselves in the event of an audit on this funding, because this amount is so high, we want to go ahead and do an RFQ for this one. You know, and then Mitch Coep, who was involved, him and whoever else wants to can submit it, an RFQ package. And that's going to include this debarment form. So there was some, yeah, we're just trying to make sure to expedite the process and make sure we don't have any hiccups and make sure the grant stays on schedule.
Maybe at the same token, when you're gonna request for qualifications, it should apply to the project manager also. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, they should, yeah. So you think that RFP for the project manager? The reason why I'm going to stay away from RFPs, Russell, to be honest with you, is that these are it's a huge document that I'm creating. It's a 12-page document for the long form. I'm going to have to create a short form that's 3 pages, and I have to create a whole bunch of them, and it just kind of creates a lot of work. And it's tedious as far as time goes. I have to make sure I'm using all the proper language, because in the end, Eric has informed me that this becomes a legal document. And so for that reason, I'm trying to make sure I'm doing it correctly. I've only done one previously, so I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm getting help from Eric. So together we should get it done.
It is a good chunk of money, and we should be able to also add their, not just request and proposal, but ask for their qualifications, because we here at the Rosebud Sioux Tribe have a tendency to hire who we like and not knowing if they're qualified or not. This is a major undertaking, and we got to do it right, and we got to expend this money correctly. And, you know, at the end of the day, I really don't want to see failure at all. But I guess, and then my next question is, whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe shall maintain the right to terminate contract without cause. You know, just the other day, we passed a contract with an individual, and they wanted to do limited waiver of sovereign immunity. Are you guys, the people that you hire, are you gonna be, are you gonna be sure that that's protected, or do we gonna?
That will be kind of pushed off to Eric, because all these people get in place and SRD steps back, and we let the people who are hired to do the work, do the work. And so when these contracts are entered into, they'll work with Eric's office to make sure that they're drafted in accordance with how this tribal council sees fit. And, so that will be passed off to Eric. As far
I
as.
like this language in here, that's the way we should.
So because it's in the resolution, that will be included in the contracts. Because we're saying, then the reason why is because we've never worked with some of these contractors before.
Right.
Who's to say they're not gonna come here and they're not gonna mess up, or they're not gonna, or they won't perform the way you guys expect them to. And if that arises, then you guys have that opportunity to just cut them out and hire somebody else, without cause. And that was language that I was told to place in there. And so that's why I was told to put the language in there, so that way when you do enter into contracts, that language will be there.
And it should be like that with every company that wants to do business with us, where we're actually paying out money. That should be our common practice anymore, but we get into this wavering of, limited waiver of sovereign immunity, and either we're sovereign or not, we passed it, because it was I think it was a $50,000 grant or proposal, whatever it was that came in. But we need to, this is a big project, and we're being looked at nationally. And so we gotta make it right. We gotta do it correctly and make sure. I don't care for all the infighting that's going on up to this point, but I'm hoping that it's all resolved and we need to move forward as quickly as we can.
Yep. Any more discussion? Call for the question.
This is Donna, question.
Thank you, Jordan. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Online, Lisa?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Dwight?
Oh.
Neil?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Opposed? Not voting? Motion carried. Any more?
Yeah, we have Almona, got the job descriptions that she's worked it out.
These job descriptions are just drafts, so if you guys want to changes made to them before we get them approved and start advertising for these positions, so they can start their work. I got most of the information. I reached out to different companies that have broadband, and I asked for their job descriptions, and that's how I got the wording for a lot of the duties and stuff, whether I put the tribal procurement procedures and everything that pertains to the tribe that needs to be in there, I added on it.
Did you take them to personnel?
After you guys approve them.
No, they haven't been to committee. This was it last week she was going to take them, but the council was meeting on the same day as personnel. So we thought we would approach this and ask for council to approve the job description now, so we can get them advertised and get somebody hired.
And we will be, I did discuss with the personnel office that they will be going through the committee process, because they will become a part of the personnel in the tribe. But in order to expedite, get these announcements out as much as possible, because there is a difficulty on finding qualified people. So try to, this will allow us to move that ahead in the advertising process.
Also, did you all get a chance to look at them while they were giving a presentation? Go ahead, Chair.
I did. I just had a concern, Itanchan, because the project director reports to you, and I know you already have several directors that you have to report to. I hate to bombard you with stuff. I guess I'd also like to see this project director not only just report to you, but report to Economic Development Committee as
Can
well.
we put slash economic development on there then on top? Okay.
Thank you.
And then the grant clerk is actually, I thought it should have been like a business manager or something, but that's how it's written in the grant. That's why it says grant clerk. Okay, and they have the majority of the duties.
So you're proposing that they report to the economic development on a quarterly basis? Or
Monthly and quarterly.
monthly? And you should be doing this is a $48 million project.
Yeah.
You should be reporting to us. That would be done.
So if it's not in here, then I can put monthly, add monthly to economic development also.
So we put tribal council on there too then? Is that what you want, Russell?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tribal
Maybe
council.
if I may, maybe monthly to economic development and quarterly to council. I think monthly because of the financial reporting obligations, it would be
And quarterly.
best.
Okay. Motion to approve all three of them, or do you have a question before that, or you're gonna second that? We're approving the job description for, project director,
Administrative assistant
administrative assistant.
and grant clerk.
I have one final question, Mr. Chair.
Second by Jordan, go ahead.
So will council hire the director? Or who will? Yeah? Okay,
They always hire all the.
thank you.
Eileen,
Good morning. I was just wondering, how many staff will be in the finance? Of that.
Only one, the tribal finance office is using the tribe's administrative line item to fund one position of a program monitor. All of this, our sole job is to look over this grant.
And Eileen, we, we got the job description approved by the president and it's being advertised. So there's a salary set out there. It's on the website and we will be selecting shortly.
Okay, I was just making sure that that's not too much since they're doing the finance and they're doing all the clerical work and now it's called,
The clerk is just like the administrative person. If you look at that grant, then they have the finance in a different area.
Oh, okay. So who's doing that filing and answering the phones? All of them?
The administrative assistant.
Okay. All right, thank you.
okay, any more questions?
I do.
Go ahead, Russell.
So this is a big project. So let's say somebody selling us material, who would be the one? You can turn in all kinds of receipts or finance. But who's gonna know that this is correct amount?
So the financial officer, so Almona's my backup, and right now I've set up the grants management system on Grants Online. And through that, we identify roles and responsibilities from this tribe. And so Scott is the AOR. He has permission to go in and approve, accept. He also has permission to go in and view reports and approve those for submission. Ken, he's the eBiz POC and SAM.gov. So he's the entity administrator. His account I work through. And I assign roles and I go through and make sure reports are completed and everything that entails in grants management is really huge. So I go in and kind of monitor grants that way. And Almona's going to be my backup because this is so huge. Sometimes when I'm out of the office, some things have to wait till I get back. And with this, we don't want that to happen, so we'll have a backup in the office, and so she's going to be in there. The person involved, responsible for the financial reports will be Myrna. So she'll have a monitor, but that monitor will complete her SF-425s, and only Myrna can go in and submit that, because then she's certifying that it's true and correct. So she has that role. And and Santi is currently the project director until we hire somebody. We couldn't get the system going until we designated somebody, so Santi is the project director interim until somebody gets hired, and then we'll replace that person. Right now, the system is currently shut down due to the end of the fiscal year, so we've had to submit some SF-270 forms that just kind of outline how we're going to do our drawdowns, with the staff and this and that. So we submitted that form, but because the system's been down for the past 2 weeks and won't be back online until October 1st, the approvals that we need haven't been made yet, and it can't be done until Monday.
I think Russell's question was, who's going to make sure we don't get overcharged for equipment that's being, we're buying, yeah.
So let's,
So I'm assuming since IT initiated this, they should have oversight.
businesses but Santi and Techron Redco. Doka you have any chunk that you had not of each one Hatchums Solyaka.
Oh, she said yes, Jeff. No, that's fine, but I just gotta make sure that, there was a discussion back, we had a meeting on this, on another broadband that was, we had a company come in. They did a lot of work too. Developing this because that's what they do. And one of the things that came up at that point was buying equipment or buying the lines that are going in. There's a company out here that has a monopoly on that. They have access. But in order for us to, get the actual cable, who's going to have oversight over that? I guess that's what I'm saying.
They're not the project director clerk. Santi choke that's how they hire someone.
No, I mean,
The main thing is that the fiber that is laid, that will be owned by the Rosebud Sioux tribe. That's the key connection coming in.
but who's gonna oversee the cost? We could get chopped.
The program monitor does that. Whenever they do out bids, because they'll have to get 3 quotes like everybody else, we have to adhere to our procurement policy. Especially because the equipment is totaling multi-millions of dollars. We have to make sure that we go through our procurement policies, our procurement process. So when we do that, our program monitors make sure that we've gone through that process, we've got 3 bids, and if they're choosing a more expensive one, they usually have to come here. So it's usually the program monitor is going to be the one to watch the expenditures to make sure that the procurement process is being followed. I think that's right.
Yep.
Okay. Ray, question?
I have a question.
Oh,
The last time this tribe created a multi-million-dollar office, there was a lot of questions and concerns with not following our policy procedure, people transferring in, transferring out. So I was just curious if these positions will be newly created positions, they'll follow our handbook and everyone be full-time and there won't be any, okay, thank you.
okay. Jordan?
So the prime contractor, I know this isn't nothing to do with the job description, but just before we move on, the prime contractor, that'll be, that'll come back to council for approval, correct? And same with the project manager? Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll call for the question. Ray? All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Online, Lisa?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Dwight?
Oh.
Neil?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
13.
Opposed?
0.
Not voting?
1.
Motion carried. Is that it, SRD? Okay, thank you guys for coming over. You guys really did a good job. Thank you.
Is that the final?
What's that?
I know.
Bill's asking for a prayer.
Oh, that'd be. Who's gonna say it, Bert? Who's gonna do that? Russell? Okay. Council, as soon as they get done shaking hands here, we're gonna ask that Russell say a prayer for our project and that it goes smoothly. And, everybody's on the same page as far as supporting this project and making sure everybody understands what it takes to complete it. So, we'll ask Russell to go ahead and say a prayer for. Thank you, Russell.
I'll have her translate my prayer.
Okay, can we go on to, I had Ray pass out that Dear Tribals Leaders letter from the Secretary of Interior on, Secretary Holland's upcoming visit on her Indian boarding school initiative. She's calling her Road to Healing. We, agreed to host her when she comes down on the 15th. It's gonna be at 10 a.m., so we're still working out the details. We're gonna send a team down from her office to actually set up the itinerary, what's gonna be on that agenda. So, we're asking the council today to approve some funds to do that, to host that meeting. We also got a hold of the Great Plains Chairmen's Association and sent out this letter for them to send out to their chairmans and their tribes to basically create some type of flyer or informational flyer and a contact number on it. So anybody that wants to come and do a testimony on surviving the boarding school era, they can come down and tell their story and give testimony. And we would have a contact number at our office for them to be able to do that. So, I asked the treasurer earlier where we can get the money to host this, and he said that we had some money in our lost revenue account. And he said that's where it should be taken from if the council agrees to it. So we're asking for $20,000 and we have approximately $24,532 in the loss of revenue. So it's gonna pretty much wipe it out if you guys approve $20,000 for this event. Ray?
I guess I would feel more comfortable approving that budget if we actually seen a detailed
Yeah, I did that. I asked my office to do a budget and it was similar to, and for some reason, we just said, we thought we'd come in and approve it based off on what we spent on Secretary Yellen's. It's gonna be a lot more numbers. So we kind of just doubled the price to allow for that budget. We allowed 10,000 for Secretary Yellen's visit, but we're gonna have a whole lot more people. We're expecting probably twice as much people as we did for our Secretary of Treasury, Yellen's visit. So that was our request. So hopefully we don't have to go back and develop a budget, Ray. Hopefully you guys can approve it like it is.
Scott, this is Lisa. What,
Right, Lisa?
what is the main expense out of that budget? Is it just for food preparation or what else are you expending?
Food preparation, we have to pay for the building and some of the workers that are coming out of the Sintigleska. We did have our concerns about that, but I guess that's the way it's gonna be. They're gonna charge us for the usage of the building. And just the food preparation is gonna cost a lot to do. And basically that's what it's gonna cost. So anything that's left over will be returned back to the account. So
Where, do you have any idea of where we're gonna make that payment out of?
the treasurer is recommending we take it out of the loss of revenue.
And that was for 20,000, you said?
Yes.
How much are we paying for heat or rental?
We have to pay for some of the security and the other staff that's gonna have to work on that Saturday. And then we have to pay for the kitchen and the use of the building. And, they send us a amount of $6,000. Eileen?
I just wanted to say, I'm in support of this, but we have to remember that from when the secretary came to now, the food went really a whole lot up. So it is gonna take that. There probably won't be nothing left after you pay everything and the food. So I just kind of wanted to remind everyone that the food is really expensive now from then, so it probably will. And then you're adding on others more people. So I'm hoping that's going to be enough. Thank you.
Jordan?
I guess I'm not against it. I just don't, I'm like with my colleague, I just don't feel comfortable approving it without seeing a budget because we require it for everybody else. So I just thought you would have came with one, I guess. So
Well, I should have done that. I have no excuse for it. We started a budget and then, we were talking as a group. I said we probably just need to double the price that we had for Secretary Yellen when she came. So, we just figured that more people are gonna attend the event. And so we just doubled the price. So.
Also, Councilor, if I may, just to add to the chairman, his request, I do support that it comes from the loss of revenue, but I am going to recommend and request a motion that any loss of revenue funds from the general that have been allocated to programs, et cetera, be pulled back and returned to the general fund if those funds have not been obligated or spent at the program level, so that we can retain those cash balances and this body can make decisions on how to spend those going forward.
I'll make that motion to return any unallocated loss of revenue funds.
Jordan? We got a motion by Lisa, second by Jordan. Doug, go ahead, Russell.
We allocated money in lost revenue, some program. What are they doing? Sitting on it or using it for a rainy day? Is that what?
happening?
When I reviewed the reports this morning, it appears as though that is happening, but some of those programs have obligated those funds. Some may not know how to spend them. I have spoke with directors who were, unclear on like how to change funding sources and little things like that. But, with the end of the year being today and the new budget starting, I think that it's, the smartest decision to pull it back, see what we have after that happens. And then if you want to reallocate some funding for whatever reason to some programs, then we can do that in the new fiscal year. But there are some stagnant funds sitting there and it's around 400,000.
That should be automatic. I mean, we shouldn't have to make motions. They should automatically return to that account.
Just because, Chairman, there was a motion allocating those funds and it is loss of revenue, I am requesting that there be a motion to rescind those funds.
Okay. Yeah, that's what she's doing, so. Okay. Question by Ray. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Online, Lisa.
Yes.
Dwight.
No.
Tenille.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Opposed? Not voting? Motion carried. Pam?
So does that happen, is that effective immediately or as of 5 o'clock today?
Yeah, 5 o'clock today. And also, I think that it's smart that we approve the chairman's request too, so that we can move those.
Any unused money will be returned. We're just asking to double the price that we basically use for Secretary Yellen. There's going to be a lot more people attending and a lot more food that needs to be prepared. And that's my justification for it as far as asking for more.
We will be anticipating over 500.
And I will bring you a exact budget and I'll put it in your box. Okay? We'll do that.
So I guess where I'm going with this effective immediately or at 5 o'clock is because right now we're on air. Many programs out there that are probably going to hurry up and start using the loss of revenue money. So if Lisa would amend her motion to make it effectively immediately, I would prefer to do it that way than to wait till 5 o'clock because a lot of that money will be getting obligated as soon as this motion flies. So,
Lisa, will you amend your motion?
Yes, I will amend it.
and then
Thank you, Councilor.
Also, Chairman, the other question that I had was, you're talking of food. I guess I didn't hear what all that you were going to be using the monies for, and the amount.
Well, we have to lease the building from Cinta Gleshka, and then the amount that they quoted us was $6,000. The amount of people that's going to be attending is going to be probably double or more than what Secretary Yellen's visit was on the food preparation, and the food's actually going to cost a whole lot more. So we just basically doubled the price from what we used for Secretary Yellen's visit.
How much was that?
It was $10,000, and we're asking for $20,000. Jordan and Cher.
So we're anticipating more people. Is it going to be open to the public more than Yellen's was? Okay, and then the following question is, so how much is it to rent SGU if it's like $250, isn't it?
They said it's a building, it's $1,000 to rent the building, but they're asking for $6,000 for the security and additional staff and stuff like that. Clean up and all that stuff. They're asking for $6,000.
Did we have to pay that last time when we used the student services?
No, we didn't. We didn't do that, so.
That's just a big cost for the usage of a building when of important ladies coming to our reservation. You think that they would knock it down a little bit, at least to support us.
I haven't sat down with them to arm wrestle into
You just got that.
And we can still do that, Jordan. We can go back and ask them if they can reduce the price of it, and anything that's left over will be returned, so. Pam, share, sorry, share.
Thank you. I just have a few suggestions. Can we allocate the money today? And then, when your budget's ready, then we can approve the budget? That way you could get started on everything and we know that the money's there. I think I'd feel a little bit more comfortable doing that. Then that'll give your office a little bit more time. And, my
Carrie,
colleague mentioned if they have some, if they have.
Budget.
Oh, sorry, Lisa, you're cutting out.
If you make the motion, do it pending a detailed budget.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. The other question is, we have our own security too. If, that will help drive down costs, we can bring our own security over to assist SGU to drive down costs.
Can we make sure that our security wears the suit and tie and ear thing?
We'll pretend.
No, Russell, we want them dressed traditional.
Pam, did you have a question, comment? No.
So, now the food preparation, is that going to be catered or what's the plan, I guess?
They're already hiring people that will do it, and it's just local people that do that. So they already have contact people to do that. So we're just trying to get ahead of everything, and now we're asking for the budget. So, for the money for it.
So if there's people out there that, still do that, and are you guys pretty full on your guys' menu stuff, or? Sounds good to me. But, is there, can somebody call your office and, present something or?
Yeah,
Okay.
they can do that.
All right.
Yeah. Russell? Russ, you got a question?
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment. If you want it traditional, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough breech cloth. It's probably too stock up.
Okay, just want to comment that this meeting is going to be different than the Allen in that it's open to the public, and then they're in all the tribes in our Great Plains area. So there's going to be a lot of people here. We're how we're going to control all this, and we still haven't gotten all that buttoned down yet. But they had one in Oklahoma, and over 600 people testified. They had one in Michigan, and over 300 testified. So there'll probably be a lot more here.
I think who's going to moderate this? Because you know how we are politically. We want to throw in our need more so than talking about boarding school. And so how are we gonna coordinate that? Because the whole concept of her visit here is boarding school.
Yeah, and look, there's been a lot of people that want to get on the agenda, like the Treaty Commission and stuff. And this is not our meeting. It's their meeting. All they have done is ask us to host it. So they wanted us to provide a building and a meal and that kind of stuff to host it, but it's their meeting. I was able to get some time set aside for to call our youth group, but they're pretty strict. It's a lot harder to deal than the last time. So.
Got Jordan and Pam.
I just wanted to follow up. So it's a path of healing for our boarding schools. And I just wanted to reiterate that SGU was a site of a boarding school in the area back there. So I'm really hoping that they bring down that cost for us, because that's a kind of it takes a lot of our money out of our budget for that.
I'll talk to them.
And they have to pay those guys regardless, whether if we pay them or reimburse them, basically, they're still on their payroll. So I just would like to see them kind of work with us a little bit more.
Sure.
Thank you.
Pam?
Okay, so On these, sorry to keep bringing up the menu stuff, but because I'm bringing things up, people are still messaging. Is there going to be a deadline on when you want to receive people's bids on cooking this traditional meal and stuff? Or what you're requesting?
Yeah, we'd like to have something all figured out by next week. We're at 1:00 today, we have Zoom meetings with the Washington people. And at 10:00, we have meetings with all of us around here. And then on Wednesday, again, another Zoom meeting. So I'd like to have everything in place by Wednesday, next week. We can present all those names to the feds.
Okay. And also, I know that whenever we did visit with Miss Holland, remember we weren't allowed to have our phones on us. Is that going to be one of the restrictions of, going in there, or is it just basically open because the media is going to be there?
The way I understand it, it's open. It's,
Gotta do those selfies.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know how they're going to conduct it. So that we'll find out more today and more next week, but that's a lot of people and it's only for one day. So I'm not sure if they're going to have multiple people to talk to, or I don't know all those details yet.
I think
You're talking about a lot of people coming, and I wonder how much SGU's staff has for their security. And don't we have 10 security? And if we do, that and ours and theirs is needed if it's that much, because we need outside security along with inside. So we're trying to ask them to bring the price down, but we need their security. We can't say that we're going to use our security and that's it. We need theirs too. So in this meeting, I think we need to really look at that. They need to get both. We need to use both because we need outside too. And if it's that big of a event, then we need traffic controllers and like that too. So I don't know about bringing the price down. We need them security over there too.
I'll talk to them about the price. We'll see.
Thank you.
I'll do some exercises before.
Russell?
Yeah, it's a good example of bureaucracy at its best. They come into our territory and they're gonna dictate how they wanna run things, It's a good example of what the bureau, what we fall under. But it is an honor for Secretary of Interior to come. That's probably gonna be once in a lifetime for us. So you gotta try to make the best of it. We still need her for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Yep, we sure do.
Chairman, I have a question. Will we utilize the law enforcement like we did? Again?
It's gonna probably be the same where they bring their security, they're escorted to a point, and then our police department takes over from there, so. There's, what?
Last time when Yellen was here, they had, highway patrol at Carter, they had highway patrol in White River, they had highway patrol by Martin, Valentine. And then they literally had, just in Rapid, when we met with them, Miss Holland, remember how many were just to get in the building of the federal agents? I mean, they're gonna bring security themselves. I mean, we just have to worry about like having certain people there for, what do you call it? Like personal crowd control, talking to our own people and stuff. And we got 30 people.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'll entertain a motion that we approve the Secretary Holland's visit, or her budget for her visit, pending a detailed budget. Our
Budget, approve the budget, and
you follow up with the detailed budget? Approve the amount?
Her motion, you guys had all that discussion, but the motion that was passed was motion for programs to return allocated lots of revenue funds that have not been obligated or spent at the end of this fiscal year.
That one was made and you wanted an amendment to it. So we have to reconsider that one and add your amendment.
But you
And
should just make separate amendment for because it's for.
Well, it needs to be a separate motion. Let's reconsider and amend the motion that was made earlier for returning the funds. Yeah.
Chair, I have a request.
Wayne made that motion.
Wayne made that motion. Wayne, what's your motion?
What's that budget to get, so identify our detailed budget?
To allocate the money, amount of $20,000 to be followed by a detailed budget. Okay, all right. Need a second. Russell, question by Eileen. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six.
Online, Lisa?
Yes.
Right? Tennille?
Yes.
Steve?
Why, yes.
Steve?
Yes, and, Chair, I have a recommendation.
Yeah, they already called for the question. We're voting. Yes. Are you voting in favor of it or?
Steve, yes. Hopefully we'll provide something or some way for our youth to be involved, maybe our youth groups.
We're trying to work that in. As soon as their team comes down, we're going to try to work some of that stuff in there. Again, it's kind of their meeting. They called the shots on this, so it's kind of hard to get anything else in there. But well, we would like to involve the youth.
You can do that administratively, Chairman, can't you?
Yeah. Okay, what's the count? 10. Opposed?
2.
Not voting?
1.
Motion carried. Okay. I'll get you guys' budget and I'll put it in your boxes or scan it and send it by email. Pam?
Madam Secretary, did we even make a motion to put Ray as our sergeant at arms with compensation?
No, we didn't. He's volunteering today. Motion by Pam to have Ray Long as our sergeant at arms today with compensation. Second by Ray. Question by Wayne. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9.
Online, Lisa?
Yes.
Dwight?
Oh.
Tennille?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
13.
Opposed? Not voting? Motion carried.
Chair, I have a question on that motion with the budget. Can you read that back to approve the budget of 20,000?
Motion to allocate 20,000 to be followed by a detailed budget.
Secretary Allen, our Secretary Allen's visit.
Motion you made?
I thought we were gonna put under pending a detailed budget.
Okay,
Up to 20.
Pending detailed budget.
up to 20, yeah.
I'll make a motion to reconsider and amend it to say that.
Motion to reconsider and amend it to say pending a detailed budget. Need a second? Share. Need a question? Bill? All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Lisa?
Yes.
Dwight?
Oh.
Janelle?
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
13.
opposed,
Zero.
not voting. Motion carried. Then Russell,
Yeah.
then Pam. I got some resolutions up there in regards to pay law from a tractor too. Is that one of yours?
Yeah. And I have one for solid waste.
Ray, can you pass that one out? Yep, that's it back there.
Anyway, who's ordering commodity fees?
Pam, did you have a question?
Yeah, Chairman, can we get our tribal attorney to draft a resolution regarding our resolutions that go to BIA? I guess while we were up there, we come to find out that a lot of that stuff wasn't being forwarded up. It's just sitting here in our mission office. So if we can draft a resolution, have our tribal attorney draft a resolution to make sure that our resolutions make it to the higher ups in BIA.
Okay, so you're drafting resolutions that, any resolutions that are passed here that's supposed to be forwarded to the DC offices be done?
I have a question. Is that process something that the Bureau should be following anyway?
See, that is a process and, looking at, even like with our resolution that I believe we passed, I'm not sure if it was a resolution or a motion, but I'm pretty sure it was a resolution that we had a support of one of our tribal members being the superintendent of BIA. That didn't happen. And I guess that resolution never even made it up the chain or whatever. It got halted here in Mission. So a lot of our resolutions that we do pass are stopping here and they're staying here. So a lot of our stuff isn't being legislated up there at the main office. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
Do we know when our local office has a review? Does anybody know that?
No, I don't.
I think the administration should sit in on the
So
Bureau's review.
there's a motion. We have a second. Second by Cher. Go ahead, do you have a question?
Yeah, why are resolutions to correct our local office only being sent to our local office? I mean, it should be sent to area, regional, and I mean, how big of a request it would be then also to the BIA and DC. I mean, I don't know why it would stop there, like why we would send it to Mission.
See, I think that's our process is we go through our local office first. Just like, remember our superintendent that we wanted our BIA superintendent put back here within the agency according to the treaties?
Yeah.
Okay, that resolution never even went. So they didn't even know that we were demanding our superintendent.
I mean, but I mean, I don't know why we'd sent that to the Mission office. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Should be sent regional or at least to Aberdeen.
I guess that's the chain that's been followed, so I wouldn't know. There's supposed to be something that goes maybe here and courtesy copy up there. I don't know if that's supposed to be the process. That's something that's has always been done here, so I don't know what the real process is.
Also a question.
Okay,
I have a question for you.
go ahead.
Thank you. The end of what you said is what my question was going to be. I'd like to see that process in black and white, and if we don't have it, then we should get one developed. Because I've noticed here amongst the tribe, we have like, this is the way it's done, and then we get told a certain way, and then it's just a verbal process that we follow. I'd like to have all these processes developed and adopted by the tribe, formally written down. So if maybe we should amend your motion to recommend that, or I can make an additional motion when you're done, or whenever we're done voting on yours, that all of our processes for, resolutions be developed as far as, carrying them out. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand?
Let me,
Slow IA?
go ahead. Is that what you're talking about, it not getting there, so we're missing something here as far as the process, who's supposed to make sure it gets there. At one time, we were talking about the business office, and at one time, that office position was a political appointee position by the president's office to basically get these kind of things, make sure that they get done. So now we need to talk a little bit about that, about who's, because that gets pretty overwhelming when we get all this stuff and I forget something and I get chewed out here for not getting it done, you know? So I need some little help as far as getting all these little tasks done too. So I think I'm required to do a lot of things, a follow-up on your motions, your resolutions, and I try to do the best that I can with the staff I got, but originally that's what the business office was created for.
Yes, Chairman, you know, that's why I was bringing up that position because, you know, a lot of that, I had, from my understanding, talking with elders, that's kind of what that business office was created for. And so if at all possible, if we can change the name of our current business office to read something else as to what they are actually doing, if that's what that position can be changed to, so that way there can be an actual business office that deals specifically with what we need done. Now, there's going to be contradiction because people are going to say that that was the whole point of legislative affairs, but legislative affairs was supposed to be for the council to have legislation forward up to DC and for them to have that contact with our lobbyists so that things can get set up. So if council wanted something done, the lobbyist would be the legislative affairs office would be the one to contact the lobbyist or congressionals in DC to set those stuff up. But that never happened. That's no longer happening. And that's what needs to happen. It kind of became a, kind of like just hang out in a meeting sort of thing. So I really think that we need to, those are things that I'm suggesting that we need to do. And maybe
I just want to make sure that everybody, that we're not after anybody or we're not trying to,
I mean,
we're just trying to make it more effective as far as what the processes that are followed here.
Yep, and that's what I'm getting at is, you know, that was my whole intent of learning what business office was supposed to be doing. But somehow I got carried out to where I was headhunting. I wasn't headhunting. I was just trying to figure out how we utilize the business office from what I learned or was told what that office is supposed to be doing and why at that time that tribal president had brought that office, you know, built it to be. That's what I was just trying to understand, but instead it became I was headhunting. And I know, and I'm not trying to micromanage either, but there's questions that I have. So, you know, those sorts of things need to happen, but I don't know, being that it's a new fiscal year, I was just hoping that we were going to be able to do something in that capacity.
Russell?
Yeah, you know, it works both ways.
Yeah.
Department of Interior, BIA, send any kind of info to, they send it down the chain of command. And then when they get to we get the notice. But that should be a two-way street. And I think there is a system in place to get this.
Yeah. What we do now is if we get any kind of notice that needs to be sent to the area office, we usually scan it, get a hold of the appropriate people, and we scan that document to them. So then we know that they're getting it. And so maybe we should start doing that process with them too. So Okay, we had a motion on the floor. We had a second. You want to read back the motion so everybody's clear on what they're voting on?
The motion was for the in-house attorney to draft a resolution that any resolutions the council passes be sent to DC. I think it was supposed to say area, regional, and. Okay.
Go ahead, Eric.
Sure, good morning or good afternoon, council. I probably won't get to that resolution till after I have court this afternoon, so if you're still in session, I'll bring it back to you.
It's just that we need one drafted as well, because kind of brought up that resolutions from here are only sent to the mission office. And they're never really sent on anywhere.
Sure, and the resolution will state something along the lines that they need to have a process to make sure our resolutions get forwarded to area council. And that's a BIA thing, not a tribal thing. So I'll state that in the resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion? Yeah, question by Russell. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Online, Neil? Steve? Yeah.
Yes.
Dwight?
Oh.
Oh. Opposed? Not voting? 1, yeah. Motion carried.
Thank you, council.
Okay, there's a resolution passed out, in regards to, fish law resolution.
Yeah, we need to pay for a tractor repair.
So I think
it's
gonna be an emergency.
So, need to, get it paid.
Okay, what's the number, Secretary?
286.
286, Russell, emergency legislation.
Motion for emergency legislation.
Second by Jordan, question by Sheriff. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Online, Neil?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Dwight?
No.
Opposed? Not voting. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second by Jordan. Go ahead.
Whereas the RST Game Fish and Parks Office requests the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council authorize approval of the payment. You wanna pass that out too? The payment of service invoice in the amount of $15,825.49 to Rosenberg Implement. 11090 US Highway 218, South Sioux, South Dakota. 7717 for repairs to a John Deere 400055 tractor owned by Rosebud Sioux Tribe and requires for the operation and maintenance of the Peshwa property funding resources is account number 258 A21 AD0453. I have to apologize. I can't hardly read anymore. Peshwa contract for operation, management, and administration of the Peshwa property, Black Hill, South Dakota. Whereas ordinance, huh? Sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Whereas RST ordinance number 94125 establishes a procurement policy and procedures for use by department and entities of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, and whereas the procurement policy and procedures requires purchases of goods and services over $10,000 and over to be approved by the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council, and therefore it be resolved that the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council approves the approved payment, sorry, that must be a typo, huh?
Yeah.
Repeated.
Approve the payment.
Yep. Approves the payment of sorry, I teased you, so now here I am. messing up, the payment of service invoice in the amount of $15,825.49 to Grossenberg Implement Inc. for repairs to a John Deere 4055 tractor required for the operation and maintenance of the Peshla property funding source is account number 258A21AV00453 Peshla, and there be it also resolved, the president of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe or his designee is authorized and directed to execute and sign the approval for payment of service invoice and any other related documents on behalf of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe.
Discussion. Go ahead.
Did you guys, hire somebody permanent up there yet?
Not yet.
Who's,
We-
still up there? Dean still?
Yeah, we finally got a chunk of money in. And so we have a meeting next Friday and for the big board. Quarterly meeting? Yeah. And so, we're gonna present it there and then, but we may put somebody up there temporarily
Okay, thank you.
until we hire them permanent.
Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? If not, we'll call for the question. Wayne, all in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Online, Tennille?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Dwight? No.
11.
Opposed? Not voting? Motion carried.
The other resolution, emergency legislation, they came to, can you pass this out? Okay.
4, 6, 7, 8,
Solid waste,
10, 11.
solid waste, just recently had one of their trucks that hauled those big, roll-offs wrecked. They're waiting for insurance, but in the meantime, they found one, a used one, and they have the money to pay for it, and it's $49,000.
Okay.
So we want to authorize them to go ahead and purchase that.
Okay.
And when that insurance money comes, they can maybe purchase another one. You know, I mean, it's kind of, it's really needed right now. So
Yeah, we'll have a motion for emergency legislation. The number is 287. Jordan's gonna bring that on. And, we have a second by Cher, question by Ray. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Online, Tennille?
Yeah.
Dwight? No. Steve?
Yes.
Opposed? Not voting?
Start at the fifth whereas.
Motion to
Oh,
approve.
motion to approve, sorry.
Okay. Any second, Ray? Go ahead.
Start at the fifth whereas, whereas RST ordinance number 94-125 established a Rosebud Sioux Tribe procurement policies and procedures for the acquisition of goods and services by departments and programs of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe. And whereas the RST procurement policies and procedures require a bidding process and approval by the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council for the acquisition of goods and services in the amount of $10,000 and over. And whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe Solid Waste Collections Program requests the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council approve the selection of a quote from Trinity Recycling for a new trash truck in the amount of $49,000. Therefore, be it resolved, the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council approve the selection to purchase from Trinity's Recycling for the trash truck on sole source basis due to the low cost, immediate availability, and urgent need for solid waste disposal basis.
Any discussion? Any question? Share. All in favor? Moving 287.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Online, Tennille?
Yes.
10,
Steve?
Yes.
11,
Dwight? No.
12.
Opposed?
Sure.
Not voting?
Sure.
one more.
Okay.
Motion. This is a motion, I have a standing motion to attend these meetings. We are having a quarterly meeting on 7th. And I'd like to, and we always create controversy, we travel.
Yeah.
But meetings are needed. But meetings are needed.
Yeah.
And so we do a presentation there as part of our quarterly agenda, you know, and so I like to make a motion to travel.
Okay. He just,
On the 7th?
Seven.
The 7th, okay.
that's, Friday? Is that a Friday?
Right.
Friday. Second by Chair. Question?
Mr. Chair, also, on the 6th is that roundtable with the USDA.
Yeah, they have they're having a great, I think they're gonna have a Great Plains Chairman's Association meeting down there, and the US Forestry is gonna be down there with the USDA. So,
Meeting on Saturday.
so there's, yeah, so,
I'll approve those meetings.
okay, to include that one too? Okay,
It's how many meetings?
6th and 7th. One at the Great Plains Chairman, so the US Forestry Office and USDA. Question by Wayne. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Online, Tennille?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
11.
Dwight?
Five.
Opposed?
Zero.
Not voting?
0.
Motion carried. Pam?
Thank you, council.
There was a motion that was made by Dwight, second by Wayne, and questioned by Dara, and that was for October 8th with USDA. Was that supposed to be October 6th? Is that the one?
I think that one's, I'm not sure. I can't
Because
remember the
that's
dates on it. I know
because
there's-
that one's on a Sunday if you look at it, or Saturday.
Well, we listed it in there, so.
Yeah, it shouldn't have had a date, it should have just been to have a meeting with the USDA.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because the one that Dwight did was for October 8th, and then, yeah.
I put the flyer in our text group.
And then also Chairman, is there anybody, has anybody in your office or anywhere been really looking into this, partnership with Black Hills on the forest?
Co-management?
Yeah.
That's been a discussion, and we need to continue those talks as far as co-management. We've also been, had meetings with the Secretary of Interior. We just need to follow up on that, make sure it happens. I don't know if we can come to some type of agreement or not, but that's probably gonna be part of the discussion with the US Forestry down there. That's probably, the issue's probably gonna come up, so.
Because
It's
this
just
is,
not our tribe, but it's other tribes that wanna do the same.
because is it that, thing of actually walking the forest and stuff on the 5th? I think it's on the 5th, I keep seeing it in my emails, and I know I did tag it, but it's just like, there's a lot of things going on. But that should be a discussion today on, I mean, I guess to let all council reps know where we're at with that and what our plan is on it, because I know that our local forestry program can't pick that up. It needs to be probably discussed on who's gonna head that up and who's gonna keep it.
Council, we have, did we vote on that? We already voted on it?
City council meetings on the 8th.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to travel on, the 7th and 8th, or to the selected meetings. We have a second, we need a question, or we didn't vote on it, did we? No. We did? We did?
Did you? No, we did, because didn't Wayne's question?
It's 12-0-0. Okay. We have a few more, I think, go ahead.
I just wanted to, if I can get that resolution on for the, social service, the hams and turkeys after lunch. Are we gonna have a quorum after lunch?
Well, I think there's a lot of you guys have to leave, so we're probably gonna lose our quorum.
Can we do that real quick then?
We had like, 1, 2, three more resolutions that there was put up here that needed to be presented today, so we can do that. If we have, Eileen, if you want to say the prayer, we can go ahead and have a working lunch. Yeah.
Lord, we just come to you today. We just thank you for everything that you have given us, Lord. We thank you for this food, Lord, that we ask that you bless it so it give us nourishment to our bodies, Lord. We also pray for all those in need, Lord, all those that are in mourning, Lord, that you will comfort them, you will meet their needs. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay. I know we have some resolutions to do and we have a working lunch, but I recommend we go off the air while we're eating. I don't think that's appropriate. That's not appropriate. So, Calvin, we go off. Thank you.